So I was in the grocery store the other day, and, just picking up a few groceries, and on the way out, I saw this ultralight survival kit. And I was going out. I was expecting to do some possible snowshoeing, and I definitely got stuck in my truck. So I thought, $13. Price was right, and I was thinking, I'll take this with me and I'll have a go. And I thought, price of $13, you can't go wrong with that. The fact is, you can go very wrong. You can go dead wrong. And I'm going to show you why. I was going to do a video when I actually go out and use this, in the wild, and show you how to use a few things. But I don't know that I'm going to bother with this one. And anyway, I'll show you why. So ostensibly, this is an ultralight survival kit that you can carry with you when you're out hiking, skiing, snowshoeing, blah blah blah. Whatever you do, you're out in the wild hunting. Something like this, you can, for long periods of time, this is what you should be able to do. For long periods of time, you can keep this stored, and keep it in your camping gear or car or backpack or whatever, so that if an emergency happens, you've got the tools in this kit to help you survive. Well, let's have a look at it. So, first things first, the card, back of the card lists all the items that are in it. Bag, semi-waterproof. This material here is just like tent material, maybe a little bit heavier. So, bag's alright. And now that there is basically just cotton wool buds, but this is supposedly for lighting your fire, which obviously is very important. Got duct tape. Let's see. How good's the duct tape? Oh, it feels alright. Alright, not too bad on the duct tape. Still sticky? Alright, duct tape's good. Can live with that. Not sure what this thing is. This is a whistle. Oh yeah, for signalling. Not a bad idea. That works. Alright, whistle's good. Feels a little plasticky, but that would probably hold up. And the compass. And this is actually the first thing I noticed. The actual compass. No matter which way you point it, it just stays stuck to the bottom of the frame there. I've tried tapping it. Anyway, so that compass is useless. And that's, one of the things that's going to get you into trouble rather than get you out of trouble. Location, where you are, and the ability to get to somewhere where you can get help, can find safety. It's probably the most important thing, or one of the most important things anyway. And this compass is absolutely useless. Bit of rope. Yeah, I don't mind that. Bit of string, whatever. Survival guide. 2 pages. Showing how to make fish traps, figure 4, stay calm. Just a quick look at that. Very, very simple. Yeah, a little bit of first aid gear. a little bit of basic survival stuff, so that's alright. Lifeline. I guess that's just the brand name of company, maybe? Yeah, it is brand name of the company. Fishing gear, probably work. Sometimes the fishing line and this stuff is not very good, ends up breaking. Alright, razor blade for cutting. Band-aids. Talk about that in a minute. Now, what's this supposed to be? Just aluminium foil. Yep. Just a sheet of aluminium foil. Alright, cooking, signalling, useful, but obviously most of us have aluminium foil in the kitchen. Alright, this is a little lighter last as well. Alright, so we got a bit of wire for snare making or building shelter, some yeah, very cheap safety pins, so kind of works, but you know, you get crappy ones of these and they're not worth much at all. Alright, so this is your water carrier, your emergency water storage, or you know, store whatever else you want to. Basically, just a gallon Ziploc baggie. Alright, most of us have those in the house, at least I do. There's that there. Like I said, useful, but not very valuable. And fishing line. Yeah. The hooks. I'll say about these feel right, but most of the time these cheap kits, or cheap fishing hooks, cheap fishing gear in general, it rusts very quickly and bends very quickly. But you'd be able to probably catch a fish or two off those before they did. Alright, your survival blanket. So basically, reflective coating, very thin, is supposed to reflect back in the heat, up to 90% reflection of body heat. And I think it's, they have the uses, but to me they never seem to be big enough to really work. Anyway, I'd like those bigger. One thing they can be good for, really good for, in that if people are looking to, you know, rescuers are trying to find you, you know, having a nice emergency survival blanket wrapped around you is going to make you so much more visible. So it's good in that respect. But I'm not going to pull it out because they're a pain to get back in. This was the other one I wanted to look at. What's this supposed to be? Some sort of fire lighter. I might have to read the directions and see what this is about. It's got a... It's just a rubber handle. This is just a flint. Alright, so just a flint, just like you normally have in your Bic lighter, set up in such a way that you can ignite your tinder, which is this stuff here. And the way you would normally do that, tease out a bit. The better tinder that I've seen in the stores actually has a wax or greasy texture to it, where they've impregnated it with wax of some sort. Let's see. Alright, so that worked. Just wanting to finish up this survival kit video. I guess what I was trying to show, when I just sort of pulled this apart and showed the items, that when it comes to your survival, and when it comes to keeping something stored away until that time when your life depends on it being functional, it's worth spending a little extra money, even if what you get is a little simpler. Alright, this is pretty cool. Had lots of cool little gadgets in there, but the reality is a lot of that stuff's not really needed. I mean, like your fishing gear and your fish hooks, I always have something like that, and your safety pins, the wire, that's all sort of food production thing. Most emergency situations are finished in like 3 days, 72 hours, whatever it is. Is that right? Yeah, something like that. So I'm not saying you shouldn't start trying to procure food straight away. The fact is, you get stuck out in the wild somewhere, chances are food is going to be the last thing, your last problem. You'll die before you of something else. You will die of something else before you starve to death. So, yeah, they're handy. Definitely have some with, because they're don't take up much space, especially the fish hooks and fishing line. I mean, I always carry something like that. But reality is, cooking or hunting, fishing, it's as far as an emergency survival kit, it's the last thing on my list anyway. So I just wanted to show you. So all they had, now this is the fire starting device they had in this kit, and yeah, it's got a little bit of a coolness factor, and they include the tinder, which is just cotton wool buds, and you're meant to tease them out, right, and the other way, and then you can hit them with the little spark-a-doodle thing, and you can light. Alright, so where was I? So what you've got here is basically a lighter that has run out of gas. So you're going to go to the trouble of carrying this with the tinder. To light a fire, you might as well just carry a simple Bic lighter. So let's see if I can show you this here. And even when these Bic lighters run out of gas, they're still, I just pulled the front off that to make it easier to get to the sparking location. But this is still a usable fire starter. So anyway, all I'm saying with that, $2 for a Bic lighter, start a fire pretty much any time you want. The tinder is inside in the form of gas, pretty handy. If you're backwards and you need to be able to, there's a bit of lint from the dryer, if you really want to start a fire, save your lint from the fire and your empty lighters, whatever. Anyway, point being, fire and the ability to keep yourself warm or to signal to rescuers is very, very important. So get yourself a $2 lighter. Okay. What was the other thing? Oh, okay, the compass, that doesn't work. All right, for some reason it's almost like the compass needle is off balance, and anyway, it just keeps touching on the bottom and it doesn't spin the way it should. It's not balanced, and and that's going to get you killed. You try to head off into the wrong direction. That there is probably the biggest problem in this kit. So do what you got to do. Spend the money on an extra compass. This is actually, picked this up at a garage sale, I think. This is just a kid's compass out of I think a G.I. Joe set or some sort of kit like that, and even it actually works. It's a little bit wobbly, it's not oil filled, but it's a functional compass, so you're better off with a kid's toy than what came out of this survival kit. The band-aids, they're actually, what do they call them? They're meant to be like stitches, emergency stitches. They're no longer a good, that's hardly sticking, so they're useless. Now I thought the duct tape was also going to be useless, but in this case this duct tape is still pretty good. Now I'll say something else on this kit. It actually has a best buy date, which kind of makes sense, when you're talking about duct tape. It doesn't last forever, nor does your band-aids and temporary sutures or whatever you call them. So stuff like the duct tape and the sutures, definitely something you could probably bring with you, but it's not something you can put in a box for 10 years and expect it to be usable when you need it. So those aren't generally on my want list, when I go to make up a survival kit of some sort, emergency kit. I'll say something else about that. Normally what I'll carry is a little bit of just electrical tape. It seems to keep better than the duct tape, so, and usable similar things. Alright, so the other thing, don't mind the what do you call them, space blankets, emergency survival blanket. Very lightweight, very thin, never seems to be big enough. What I would carry in replace of this is just some either a garbage bag. You can put a garbage bag over you as a raincoat, or a cut holes for the head and arms, of course. But the garbage bag will keep a lot of the heat in as well. At least as good as this, because it's a full covering. Or other plastic bags, plastic sheeting. Very lightweight, takes up little space, so that would be my preference to the space blanket, but space blanket's alright. Now, the string rope, it's not bad. It's probably fairly decent quality. Not as thick as I'd like. I don't know exactly how good it is, but once again, when it comes to survival and emergency gear, I'd like to have something that I know more about. So whenever I go out in the wilderness, I always have some paracord or there's some other climbing gear I'll have as well, but paracord is what everyone's familiar with. Now I carry 5 meters, which is enough to about 15 feet, which is enough to, depending on where I am or whatever, I can use it to make a bow drill for making a fire. I can use it for a bowstring, for a bow and arrow. I can use it for like a David type sling, or I can use it for a bowler. There's a lot of, or building a shelter or whatever you need it to. Very strong, about a 500-pound breaking strain. What's that? 200 kilos. So very strong, and got lots and lots of uses. So I would definitely rather have that with me. So that, a lighter, and all of this other stuff. Now the blade they have back, I think it was a thing if you were a Boy Scout, have a razor blade. So pretty much this is just a scalpel blade or a razor blade. I'm not going to take it out because it starts to rust as soon as you do that. But obviously very sharp, not terribly functional. There's no handle for it that came with this kit. So yeah, you could use it to cut your fishing line or cut your cordage or whatever, but that's pretty much about it. Limited usage. Much rather get that's just a cheap ass, excuse my French, blade. It's been sharpened. I think that might have cost me $5. So what do you got? $5 for a knife, a couple of bucks for a lighter, a couple of bucks for a piece of paracord. Actually, I don't even think that's probably dollars worth of paracord. And I think I'm already better off than what was in this kit. Water containers. So in a kit they supplied you with this as a waterproofing. It's just a Ziploc baggie, and it's not even a good quality Ziploc baggie. So that's supposedly your emergency water storage for carrying water. I like just using this old soda. There's an old Pepsi bottle there. Now the water containers, when you buy bottled water, it's a very, very thin container, and it's not the best for long-term storage. These ex-soda bottles are much better quality plastic, so I would go with something like that, and that doesn't cost you anything. And oh yeah, your paracord. So as well as having all the uses that I listed earlier, you can actually separate it, get the inner cordage out of it, and there's lots of things you can do with that. Sewing, fishing line, and snare lines. It's very, very strong. I'm guessing probably about 100 pounds breaking strain on that, maybe 70, but anyway, very, very strong for the weight it is. So it makes it good for snare lines and fishing lines and stuff like that. And you can pull that from inside the paracord. Now, ideally, you're gonna say, all right, I'm gonna spend a little bit more money, and I generally carry some form of Swiss Army style pocket knife. This one's a big one, about $100 worth, but it does have a compass, a good knife, good blade, a couple of good blades actually, a saw, some minor tools, and so I would think if it comes to your survival, for your emergency kit, just pack a really good knife and a lighter, and you're halfway there. And so, yep. The other thing I'll carry as part of my ultra lightweight survival kit is this thing here. It's got keys to a couple of stuff. It's a basic key ring, but it's actually got a nuke alert radiation monitor. Haven't needed that recently, but you never know. But most importantly, it's got a small flashlight. You don't need anything huge. And this thing here I use all the time. Anyway, that's what I want to say about that, and I think next video I'm going to actually show you a couple of small survival kits that I've made over my years, depending on the circumstances, where I'm going, how much room I got, depends what I put in there. But it's normally got some sort of blade, some sort of fire starting device, and some sort of cordage, and those are the basics. And I'll add, depending on space and weight and all that sort of thing, I'll add things after that. So, okay, have a good day. Something I just wanted to add that I forgot to. So once you've started your fire with your emergency device, whatever that happens to be, doesn't hurt to have a little piece of candle. So the candle, you can use that for light, of course. What have I got there? Probably half an hour of light if I'm in a shaded environment. But it's also a good fire starting device. So, I've started my tinder, it's burned down, but the candle is still going. So, a little piece of candle in your survival kit is a really good thing. The other thing, the wax in there, I've used that for lubricating your fire bows. So you need to lubricate the top, so a little bit of wax helps out a lot. So lubricating zippers on tent fires, lots of good things a candle's good for. So recommend that.